And we are live. Okay, Joanne, welcome. Welcome to the show. Thank you for doing this. So yeah, let's get right into it. What is it like to be you?
What is it like to be me? Oh my God, that's a loaded one. And you dive right into that one. What is it
Dive
like
right
to
in.
be me? What is it like to be me? To start off with, I think what it's like to be me is being curious,
Mm,
sometimes analytical in a good way, because that analyticalness drives me to be curious on looking at things from a different perspective. And that's like my big approach is, especially when it comes to science research regarding health,
okay.
fitness, and wellness. I like to look at the other side of the coin based on an intuitive approach and a metaphysical approach. So
Okay.
definitely that aspect, curiosity, analytical, um, not so much as playful as much as serious. I often am told that I'm too serious.
Okay.
If that if that could be a thing. Too serious.
Okay. If that could be a thing, so it sounds like you don't think that you can be too serious. But yeah, if you need to take a second just to reshare it, if you want to reshare it now, you can
Yes,
go
I'm
ahead.
doing that right now as we speak,
Yeah.
putting that out there, letting everybody know that we're here. So yeah, sharing it out. So it's all
Perfect.
shared. Yes,
Perfect.
excited. Yeah.
All right. So you said you're very curious about metaphysics. What even is metaphysics? What's your understanding of metaphysics?
Well, metaphysical, from my perspective, is the other side of science. It's the other side. It's more connected to us based on our spiritual perspective of things. I believe that everything, every emotion that we experience that translates into perhaps some physical discomfort, physical challenges, illness, or even disease, that every one of that falls under that umbrella shows up with a excuse me, metaphysical meaning, explanation, and then also allows the person to see whatever it is they're experiencing in a different light. So, for example, if someone is experiencing chronic back pain, which is a very common discomfort for many people, and when we speak of chronic just means that this is something that happens on a day to day or more frequently than just your daily pain. And back pain itself, metaphysically, means that there's a stressor regarding feeling supported because the back is about support, and the lower part of the back is financial support. Now, the financial support could be where we do not feel supported on our own, so we're not valuing who we are, so we're not attracting the higher income to come in because we don't support our own views, or we don't feel supported by our community, and we may be holding on to generational wounds regarding money blocks. So that can create a tremendous amount of physical discomfort showing up in the lower part of the back, as opposed
Mm,
to when we look at it from the medical perspective of things. The metaphysical gives us a wider range to explore the possibilities like, oh, how can I change my thinking? That then can possibly change how my body is adapting to my thoughts that may be related to subconscious beliefs and may also be related to the collective energy that's going on at that very moment, as opposed to looking at it as a medical condition, which then really just puts us in a flat line of energy of the only thing I can do for this issue right now is put a band-aid on it, and that could be over-counter medication and doesn't help for self-discovery. Where the
yeah.
metaphysical aspects of things gives you room to discover.
Okay. Awesome. That's what a great description. what's your story? How did you get into metaphysics?
How did I get into?
Metaphysics and the metaphysical world. Like, how did you discover it? Why did it attract you?
I love that. I love that. Well, it starts way back in 2007 as
Okay.
like most people who have um, a relationship might have ended suddenly. Mine ended in my mind suddenly, and that was in 2007. And then in 2011, my mom crossed over unexpectedly. She had gone into the hospital on the evening of my birthday, March 4th, and then on March 12th, she crossed over. With that energy of her crossing over, activated my quote unquote psychic abilities,
Okay.
being able to connect with spirit by hearing them, seeing them, feeling them, and that overall energy. And through that process between 2007 and 2011, I felt as though I went through a spiritual journey. And through that spiritual journey was a discovery journey of who I was without the 12-year relationship, really getting to know me. And to get to know me was really about what was being called into me, the things that were showing up in my life, such as at that point in time, I was introduced to Reiki, which is energy healing work, working on me first to clear whatever it was that needed to be cleared. Then I was introduced to crystals, and anyone who knows anything about crystals, they're beautiful, and the energy that comes off any crystal is very powerful. And then that led me into other modalities, such as moving into numerology, which is basically what my background all about. It's the card deck that I created many years later,
Okay.
and just allowing me to explore and opening my mind up to the possibilities of there's more than what meets the general eye, than what we usually see on a 3D level. So through my journey from 2007 to current date, and by the way, 2019 is when my card deck was created, which opened up a whole other chapter and really led me into being curious about, as a personal trainer and working with clients, midlife women, helping them to better understand the different issues that show up in their tissues
Mm.
and being able to give them a different view on what they were being told medically and then looking at the metaphysical properties of what they were being told. And
Okay.
my process is not about trying to get someone to take on my belief system. My process is just giving people another way of looking at something. So both ways, medically and metaphysically, are both very nicely put together to help one expand with the idea of there's more to what meets the eye.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the aspect of having like an expanded perspective, or like a little bit, at least a little bit of a different perspective. Have you encountered? I'll start here. Have you encountered people who are like, "Oh, this is too woo woo," and I'm like, "This is just not real woo woo stuff. I don't want to deal with this."
I actually encounter that on a daily basis because my approach when I meet somebody is the first thing I want to know about that person is what their astrological makeup is. And what that just means in the English language is what is your moon sign, what is your rising sign, and most people know what their sun sign is. Why is that important to me? Because it helps me to better understand who you are on a personal level so I can show up and help you shine that person's light so their best version of themselves can show up.
Okay.
Now, of course, not everybody relates to astrology. Not everybody believes
Yeah.
astrology is a thing. My process is astrology is your navigation system,
Hmm.
just as numerology is the navigation system. It is the guideline, the helper to support you on the journey we're here. So, yes, for some, it may be like, well, I don't believe in that. Yet, There are times when I'll sit with that one person that may say, I don't believe in that, and just ask them what their month and date they were born on, and then give them insight to what's going on in their life just by asking their month and day that they were born on. And I'd say 99, and I know that's a big, really high number, 99% of the time, I hit the nail right, I hit the hammer right on the nail, and they literally look at me like, but how did you know that?
Mm.
And the answer is, well, astrology and numerology does not lie, and it is a thing. So even for those who may look at this as woo woo, I believe there's a space for it. I believe that if you are curious enough to want to open up your mind to the possibilities of this can add to whatever it is that you're doing already, it's not going to take away from anything, it's going to add to. And again, as I said earlier, I'm not here to bring my belief system onto you. I'm just here to share insight with you. And whatever resonates, take with you. And whatever doesn't, leave it on the shelf.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the perspective also, like, it doesn't take anything. It doesn't take anything away from you. Right? It can only add. And yeah, it was when it comes to energy healing and metaphysics and all this, like my mind was very closed off a couple years ago, and I kind of like started getting exposed to it step by step, little by little. And at first I was like, no way, no chance, that doesn't work, that doesn't exist, that's just babbling. But then what actually helped me, because I'm a very analytical person as well. I tend to be. I raised in a very strict family, and I studied electronics, automation, and robotics in school. Right, so like
Oh,
science, 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 science,
yes,
physics,
yes,
physics,
yes.
electronics, science, and then I was like really into science, and then I started digging a little bit into quantum physics, right, like quantum particles and quarks and stuff like that, and then I was like, it all falls apart. Like, whoa, like what is this? It doesn't, like science doesn't know what actually, like, and there's things that we don't see, that we don't know how it works. So oh, okay, so maybe some of these energy principles and stuff, they also don't know how it works, but they've been using it, and they know how, like, not the specific um insides of it, but like how to use it. As for example, a phone, right? Like how many people who use a phone very effectively or drive a car very effectively actually know how the car works or how the phone works? Like basically nobody knows. I studied electronics, automation, and robotics, and I have a basic understanding of how a phone works, but how the screen works, how the touch screen works, how all of the electronics, the wires that are in there, like how is it so small, like how it actually works inside. Very few people know, but everybody's using it. I think maybe that's the same case. That can be the same case with metaphysics and energies and stuff like this, right? Like we don't actually have to know exactly the ins and outs of the workings, but we can still use it if we have at least a user manual, right?
Exactly. So now you have me curious because
Hmm.
you're I'm going to use the word science geek. What is your birthday, month and day?
My birthday is 24th of July, 2000.
July 24th.
Yes, and the year 2000, if you want to
Yes,
know year.
I don't really need
The year.
the year.
Okay.
All I need is the month and day. So July 24th. Let's see. So you're a Leo.
Yes.
Your sun energy is Leo, and you're in your third energy year, personal energy. So this is all about your experience this year. This is what you want to experience, how you want to share what you're doing, how you're communicating, how you're networking, how you're collaborating, what you're teaching, what you're learning. Um, and all of that may very well be changing for you, especially with the energy we're in right now, where we do have, when we think about the number three as a life, as your personal energy year, three is associated with Gemini and Mercury in astrology. And right now, Mercury is in Scorpio energy, and that's about transformation. And there's a huge transformation that you may be undergoing at this very moment behind the scenes. Things are changing for you on how you're doing what you're doing and who you're doing it with. So pay attention to that. In addition to, pay attention to November 3rd. I believe it's November 3rd. Let me just double check. I want to make sure I'm giving you accurate information.
Hmm.
It'd be nice if I was on the right calendar. Yes, November 3rd, Mars, the planet of action, leadership, the warrior, and the boss, and may show up as aggressiveness as well, will be moving into Leo energy. So that's going to highlight your sun energy in regards to taking action, to being a leader, what changes are going to be coming in for you. So it's a powerful time. And that's just based on your sun energy. I haven't even tapped into your moon or your ascending. That's something you and I could do privately if you're interested in. I would love to offer you that opportunity to get to, for you, so you know what's coming up for you, what changes
Okay.
are undergoing for you in this powerful energy. So does that sit with you? Does that resonate with you based on your personal energy year in reference to all that you're doing, experiencing, learning, teaching, doing things in a different way, socializing differently, meeting new people while you're socializing, as you met me?
Yeah, it fits quite. Is it like right now, or is it the whole year in general that you're talking about?
Well, in theory, when we talk about numerology, the energy of it, it actually starts at the time of your birthday until the following birthday. So it started
Okay.
as of July 24th, and it will go through July 24th of 2025. You'll be playing in your 3 and 4 year element. So the experience, and then the 4 is about that stability, balance, and building that foundation that you are looking to build. There's something definitely brewing. Now, this is intuitively
Okay.
now, not based on your numbers. There's something you are definitely brewing. You're working on building something. There's something big that's coming in for you. Some sort
Okay.
of shift regarding your career and success and money.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds pretty
Yes.
accurate. Sounds pretty accurate.
Yes. Yes. So yeah. So and this is exactly what I do when I connect with people.
Mm.
In just a few minutes of our time together, I ask them those 2 questions and I get to know a lot about them, but then I also leave them with insight about themselves on what they can look forward to. It's
Okay.
not just about me, quote unquote, showing off my woo woo stuff. It's about me enlightening somebody when I come into their energy field. Because that's what it is for me. I
Yeah.
want to know that when I connect with somebody, that I'm leaving them off better than I started them with. So that I enlighten them in the process of my conversation with them, and that's my whole purpose, is making
Mm.
sure I'm enlightening a person and encouraging them to move up the ladder to do whatever it is they're supposed to be doing,
Mm.
and be their cheerleader for that to happen.
Okay. Okay. What I'm most curious about, I guess, in this space, and we can get, I guess, kind of philosophical, but that's why I do this. So, with your understanding and with your perspective, is everything in our lives based on when we were born? Like, is it already predetermined? Or do you create your own by making choices? Like, do we have a free choice, or are the choices, even though they might feel like, oh, I made this choice, was it already like all pre-written? And it's all like, so no matter what you do, you already just predefined, or are you creating your own destiny?
Uh, I so love that question, and I so appreciate your asking it, because it's like literally a conversation that I have with many people in regards to when we think about this term free will. And that's basically what you're asking me: is someone's destiny predetermined, or do they have free will to
Yes.
change things up? And the answer to that question is they're both right. And what I mean by that is, yes, our destiny has already been pre-planned. We've set with the higher power prior to even being born and created this contract, these agreements with all the different people we come in contact with. And we're here to live out that journey. Now, here's where the free will comes into play. If there's something going on in your life and you make the decision that you are not ready to transition, which means change, to do something very different, and you choose to stay where you are, then you have the free will to do that. However, as many woo woo gurus will say, if you do not complete, the words I'm hearing is, your purpose and your mission to why you're here on this earth in this lifetime, then you will be reincarnated. Now, whether you believe in reincarnation or not, that's another topic.
Mm.
You will be reincarnated to come and fulfill what you came here that you agreed on. So, in theory, and this could definitely be a debatable conversation. Does free will really exist?
Mm.
If you literally are here to actually fulfill the agreements and contracts you literally agreed to, does it really exist? What I see for it to be is that what free will does, it gives you the opportunity to pause until you are ready to make that decision to move forward. So that's where the free will is. You get to choose. You get to say, you know what? I'm not really ready to take that leap of faith. And I'm going to stay right here in this job that does not serve me, in this job that I do not
Mm.
like, in this job that doesn't pay me well, in this job that I get agita or anxiety every time I come to. I'm going to stay in this job because I'm not ready to take the leap of faith and trust that if I were to walk away from this job, that something else is going to come through. So I'm going to stay here for now. Eventually, and that's the free will aspect, eventually you become ready. Eventually you become ready. And what I mean by that is there's two concepts here. You can consciously make the decision to say, all right, you know what? I'm going to start looking for that new job, or I'm going to move into that new space. Or, as I like to refer to, the universe comes in and forces you out of that job. And when I use the word force, let's go back to the pandemic of 2020, where many, many people, and I'm sure you know at least a dozen people that were experienced what I'm about to say, lost their job. Their job was faded out, their position was faded away, or the job closed down altogether. That is the universe that played a role in that person's free will to choosing to stay there. The universe decided, well, you know what, since you weren't willing to do it on your own, this is where I'm going to come in, no safety net, and I'm going to kick you off the mountain. And now you need to go fly and hope and pray that there's going to be that safety net to catch you because you chose to stay in your free will.
Mm.
So
Okay.
that is my approach to does free will really exist?
That's
It gives you the
okay.
opportunity at the
Fascinating.
time when you're not ready to change to sit in your free will space until you're ready to change.
Okay. Fascinating. That makes a lot of sense, actually. That's a. I don't think I've ever heard this perspective before, but I've done a little bit of digging into free will and stuff like that. So thanks for sharing that. I would say that there's a lot of people, maybe the majority of people, who are in like a victim mindset, right? Or in like a victim stage, and they're blaming everything else. Um, how does that play a role? Is that also all like? Would you say that that's also predetermined for them, and like there's just like a specific timing that they can make a shift from a victim kind of mentality to kind of like, okay, I'm in control. I'm taking responsibility. I can do something about this.
I love that question. And the first thing I want to put out there is we're spiritual beings having human experiences, many human experiences. And the first thing upon that experience is recognizing that you are in control of nothing. Nothing. You are in
Okay.
control of nothing. And when you can get to that understanding that you control nothing, because the minute you let go of that control aspects of things, you allow yourself to move into that space of freedom. And once you move into that space of freedom, it gives you the ability to recognize that A, none of us are victims. Everything that we experience or everything that we quote unquote happens to us, which is a really common phrase, nothing happens to us. Everything happens for us. Everything that's happening for us has been pre agreed upon based on the very journey one is living. These are the things that give us the what's known as our mess that creates our message. And without the mess, we wouldn't have the defining message to connect us to our soul's purpose. Because we all have a soul's purpose. Not any two people share the same purpose. And when we think about the concept of victimhood, blaming or shaming or not taking accountability. And when I use the word accountability, it's not so much as saying, well, this happened because I did this. If I wasn't there, it would not have happened.
Mm.
It's not about that type of accountability. It's more about understanding that, again, going back to astrology and numerology, the energy that your birth date has and the very agreement you have is going to determine the intensity of what challenges you go through. So, for
Mm.
example, someone who carries a 11 life path number based on numerology. There's three master numbers in numerology, and those are 11, 22, and 33. And anyone who carries any of those three master numbers as a life path are most likely going to experience the most horrific journey they have because they're here to be a master. The number 11 is the master healer. So they literally need to heal through their horrific story to be able to uphold that title as the master healer. Number 22 is the master builder. Therefore, they have to go through different things where their complete foundation, meaning their mind, their body, their spirit, and emotion, was literally destroyed so they can restructure and rebuild their foundation as the master builder. And number 33 is the master creator. 33 carries the energy of Christ. So when someone carries a life path number of 33, they are here and they are going to experience challenges that, when you think about Christ's energy, that's very powerful challenges. And to be able to break free of the mindset of being a victim and why did this happen to me and move into the space of why did this happen for me, it brings us back into that space of being curious enough to discover who you are from a soul level and being curious enough of wanting the desire to move in a space of forgiveness. As forgiveness is the highest level of healing one can do when they can forgive themselves and also forgive the other parties, they heal from within and expand into their highest vibration possible. So, going back to your question on, is victimhood a part of the agreement? For some, yes. The concept is moving out of that subconscious belief of this is happening to me,
Mm.
and recognizing that the platform that they get to stand on and that they get to share their story and to enlighten and inspire and empower other people who are looking up to them takes takes the whole concept of victimhood to being the warrior. And even like the warrior, I don't really like that word so much, but just being in one superpower of knowing
Mm.
that I have a purpose. And through that purpose, I had to go through that messy stuff to get here.
Yeah. Okay. So would you say that everybody has the potential to get out of it and start creating their own um amazing life? Let's call it like in generic terms, like amazing or wonderful life, no matter what challenge. Because I think challenges are supposed to be a part of it. You're supposed to grow through them, like you said, right? If you want, if you're if your potential is to become a master healer, then you have to go through things that you have to heal from, so then you can become a master healer, right?
Yes, yes.
So
So, yes. So the answer to your question, does everybody have the potential to live out their fulfilled purpose? Is that your question?
yes.
Yes, everyone has the potential. However, not everyone travels through their journey. And what I
Mm,
mean by that is, again, we talk about the concept of the free will. Some people stay where they are at that whatever frequency they're at. And in this lifetime, never really get to their full potential of what they came here to get to. And then you have other people that excel into their soul's purpose. And I think there's a beautiful balance there because in theory, we're not all supposed to be the master healer. We're not all supposed to be the master builder, and we're definitely not all supposed to be holding Christ's energy within us to save the world. Interesting story about me, talk about Christ's energy. Based on my astrology chart, I have a placement, which is my ninth house. Now, ninth house is associated with Sagittarius energy. It's about the higher consciousness, it's about the subconscious, it's about wisdom, and it's about spiritual growth. And in my ninth house, I have Pisces. Now, Pisces is the 12th zodiac sign that carries the energy of all the zodiac signs, and it's the most intuitive zodiac sign there is. I have in that placement my Sun, my North Node, and Venus, which then in astrology terminology is a stellium energy. Through this stellium energy, I do carry Christ-like, Christ-like insight. So the insight that shows up when I'm having conversations here is being downloaded from spirit for me to share it out to anyone who's here to hear it. And I owe that all to my astrological chart and the fact that I set with my higher power prior to conception for me to be here, to be in this energy, to want to deliver messages that many people need to hear and know.
mm, okay, awesome. Thank you for sharing. These are like really fascinating insights for me, and will probably take a while to for me to process, but this is really good. This is really like mind expanding, let's say. I want
Yeah,
to maybe shift the topics a little bit. I have two things that I'm really curious about. We have about 20 minutes left, so maybe we can separate them into 10 and 10 minutes. One, and you can start with whichever one you want. One is about, you said you started being able to see and hear and like communicate with spirits. So I'm very curious about that. And then the second curious thing that I'm curious about is like, what is actually your business? How does it work? Do you go and you have your cards and you do readings? That's as far as I know. So I would like you to talk a little bit about the spirits and what even is that and how you communicate or how you see them. And the second, we can get more into the business side of your actual
yes,
practices like
yes,
this.
excellent. So what I'm actually going to talk first about is the business, and
Okay.
then that's going to lead in to your second question about the spirit communication. The business is holistic fitness. Holistic is spelled with a W. As I
Mm,
work with midlife women, their whole body. It's not just about their physical body. It's really about their mind, their emotions, and reminding them that they are a spiritual being first, having many human experiences. And through those human experiences, which is the 3D layer, having them to understand that there's a different layer that when you learn to connect with your physical body, you can embody a different way of seeing things. So the approach that I have when working with my clients is not about losing weight. It really is about understanding what the weight is about, the emotional connection to the weight, and
mm,
recognizing that the weight is emotional. So the story, as we said earlier about our agreements, one has an agreement with weight. They call that weight in. Let's go back to the metaphysical conversation we had earlier. Whereas when we talk about body weight, whether it be obesity or overweight, metaphysically, that is what's called a psychological wall that one has built physically around them to protect them from something or someone. And until they are ready to approach that emotional story that's connected to the reason why they created that wall, is when they will work on releasing the issues from their tissues. And that's when they make that transformation in regards to transforming their body weight without dieting and without losing weight. My approach is that we focus on reshaping and transforming the body weight just as it is without the resistance, restrictions, and limitations that we put on our body when we are focused on dieting. So when we think about the embodiment of our physical body and taking the time every day, whether it's 20 minutes a day or an hour a day and no more than that, in connecting with a strength training progressive overload program where you're actually restructuring your physical body, making that connection, having a connection with spirit, having communication with spirit, knowing that you are not alone and that you have a humongous spirit team that you are working with. The more you get used to working with your physical body and embodying the mind concept, where you work on letting go of subconscious beliefs, which then gives you space to see and feel and know different things. Tapping into the crown energy helps you to know and believe that there's more, and the ability to really connect with your spiritual gifts, such as seeing, hearing, feeling, knowing, smelling, and even tasting. The more we connect with our physical body on a spiritual level,
Mm.
is how we open up the gateway to the connection to spirit communication. Being able to embody the ability of focusing on something such as your body and allowing yourself the ability of knowing that you can have this connection at a higher frequency. Because again, as you're transforming your physical body, that's transforming your frequency. And as you transform your frequency, is where you get to make that connection with spirit. So when someone comes to me asking, well, how do I connect with spirit? I would really love to open up that gift that I know I have, but how do I do it? I tell them all the time, connect with your physical body. Become
Mm.
aware of how your physical body feels in regards to knowing the energy. Now I'm going to bring another concept in for, for us women, midlife women that is. Another gateway into the spiritual aspects of things, spirit communication, is a term very well known, spoken a lot about, menopause,
Mm.
which which is a medical term for women. My perspective on menopause is just it's a spiritual gateway to help us tap into the chakra alignment to realign our energy, recognizing that all the different symptoms that may show up as menopause, such as hot flashes, hot flash is really just the energy that's confirming that you are connecting with spirit. So your body temperature changes in that process of connecting with spirit. So what may seem like a hot flash in menopause, from my perspective, is more a connection with spirit. And unwrapping, unfolding the ability to know that every one of us has the ability to connect with spirit. Every one of us has a gift. Now, not every one of us willing or ready to open up all of our gifts, such as being able to see, hear, feel, smell, taste, and connect with spirit. Because for some, that could be a little overwhelming. And over time, it's something that sometimes the door is just going to be bursted open, such as it was for me. Bursted open in the ability of being able to connect with spirit. When I first started my spiritual communication journey, it was just really with my mother because I didn't want to connect with any other spirit. And then eventually it got to that point where, again, we come back to that free will. It was no longer about my free will or what I didn't want. It was becoming so the connection with other spirit, other loved ones, whether they were my loved ones or other loved ones. It was becoming so much more powerful than I was able to back away from. So the door just bursted open with the ability of being able to connect with spirit. And the more I embody my physical body and transforming it and restructuring it, the more sensitive my physical body becomes. And the more sensitive the physical body becomes as impacts, it connects us to a whole different level of energy, which connects us to spirit because we become sensitive.
Okay. And you said it's mainly through the body, right? Well, you connect with your physical body, and through that you can connect to the spirit and your spiritual body as well. It reminds me a lot. Like I reached in, I put this, the power of now. Here we
Oh
go.
yes, yes,
The power of now, right?
yes,
It talks a lot
yes.
about this, and meditating in a way that you know you're doing body scans, and you're tapping into your inner body in a way. Is that a similar concept? Is that connected?
Yes, because when you think about your physical body, not the external level, not that what we see. When when you exercise, and when I use the word exercise, I'm not talking about walking, because I truly believe that when you're walking, you can focus on other things.
Right.
You can put your music on and sort of zone out. When you are strength training, when you're literally holding, let's say, 20 pounds in your hand and you want to lift that weight up, if you're thinking about your grocery list, it's a good chance that weight's going to fall. So you really have
Mm,
to be in that embodiment of your physical body and the internal energy that comes from within to that connection of visualizing yourself as that greater being, and being that you're that greater being is that entity that you move into, and recognizing that, oh, there's something more here, and that connection to spirit, the connection to listening and feeling and speaking. And I would say for most people want to have the opportunity to speak to spirit. Most people really don't want to see spirit. Most people, like when clients come to me, they're like, well, I really want to speak to my mom or my dad or my brother or my sister or even my dog, but I don't really want to see them. And I always say to them, you really can't shut it off because if it's a gift you have, it's going to show up. And there's something so beautiful, like for me, when I connect with my mom, connecting with her where I can actually see her is like, wow, you're here with me right now. And it's not just hearing her voice, or it's not her just pulling on my hair. It's literally her sitting next to me, like, wow, you're
mm,
there, and I can see you. It's not my imagination, you're there. And sometimes that's what it could show up as is that, well, your imagination is so vivid and so powerful that you can literally imagine your loved one sitting next to you. Yes, that's possible because I hear that as well. People say, well, how do I know I'm not just imagining it? And my answer to that is, well, whether you are or not doesn't really matter. The fact is that you have that loved one sitting right next to you. Stop questioning it and enjoy the
mm,
time that they're there with you and ask them everything you want to ask them, as opposed to sitting there thinking, well, am I just imagining they're with me?
right.
because then you lose the opportunity of that connection. And again,
Mm.
as humans, we do that. Humans are they look for the logic to things. When we move into that spiritual space, we come away from the logic, and we move into the fact that you know what, anything is possible. Anything is possible. This is possible. You and I. I'm in New York, Queens. Where are you?
I'm in Vietnam, Da Nang, Vietnam.
Exactly. We're miles away from each other, but yet here we are, the two of us, like we literally can hold hands right now. It's possible. We're not. Somebody imagined this opportunity to be, and through that person's imagination, that imagination was so powerful they created this opportunity. And it's the same concept when we think of it in the spiritual aspects of spirit communication. It is possible to imagine a loved one sitting right next to you and having that conversation, the very conversation you wish you would have had with them before they crossed over. Or if you knew they were going to cross over, you would have said everything and anything you wanted to say to them if you would have known. But we have this opportunity right here, right now, to make that connection by embodying your own physical body, because that connection of our own physical body is literally the gateway to that connection to spirit.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, very great wisdom. This is really awesome. Tell me more about your um like the business side of your business. Do you do a lot of podcasts? Do you create your own content? Do you have, yeah, like how do people find you, and how do you start working with people?
Okay, well, start off with my business and my communication networking. Two different things, very
Okay.
interesting to say. My actual business is Holistic Fitness NY, which is the personal training, all the healing work that I actually do. That is what I do. Here, where I'm actually making connections and sharing my wisdom and story, this is my play. This is how I play. This
Ah,
is this
okay.
is my play. Yeah, this is where I get a chance to share what I do. So those who are hearing and watching, if I'm resonating with them, they may want to reach out to me for that card reading or an astrology reading, or they may say to themselves, you know what, I'm a midlife woman. And I'm ready to really transform my body without dieting, and I'm ready to get rid of some of my subconscious beliefs. And wow, this is the first time I heard of any personal trainer talking about this on a more, as you would put it, the woo-woo aspects of things. And this might be the very woman that I've been waiting for my entire life. So that's where the networking, um,
Yeah.
the the platform of where you and I are comes into play, and why I want to share my mission, my story with the world, because
Yeah.
there's a lot of layers to me, and I want to make sure that I'm getting in front of the right audience, the midlife women, so they know that there's a much different way of going about taking care of their health, their wellness, their fitness, their mind, their emotions, and helping them to really connect with who they are from a spiritual perspective, so they can really understand, discover themselves on a soul level. So the two blending together. So this is my playtime. This is what I do
Amazing.
for play.
Amazing. What's next for you? What's the next stage? What do you have for goals? What do you want to accomplish?
Well, there's three things that are sort of on the burner right now. I'm just gonna get a little something to drink. The first thing is, and this has been on the burner for a little while, is creating a holistic fitness academy. We're taking clients that work with me that are interested in expanding who they are, moving into their soul's purpose, and taking them from a client to a student, into a practitioner, and if their soul calls for it, into a master.
Mm.
So that's something I'm in the process of creating, and with some intention behind it, some action behind it. Probably by 20, maybe 26, maybe something that will be born. Other thing that's on the forefront is creating a magazine.
Okay.
After all, I do. I have a TV show. Excuse me. I do a lot of speaking engagements, and I'm like, well, and I do a lot of writing. I published 6 self-published books, and I like to give um, women and men a platform so they too can write and share their wisdom as much as they speak it. And then the third one is writing my 7th book, which will be about
Amazing,
menopause,
amazing.
and possibly getting that out probably by mid 2025. So those are the
Amazing.
big um, things on the horizon right now, and seeing where it all goes.
Amazing. All right. Thank you so much for doing this. This was a wonderful, surprising, and a little bit mind blowing, but also like great, sometimes great reminders, some great new things, and very encouraging. Very, a little bit of a different tone than I would normally have. So this has been really very enjoyable. Thank you for doing
Thank
this.
you.
Do you have any closing statements or closing words, something that you would like to leave people with?
Definitely do. Closing line for those, whether you follow astrology or not, know that we are in a time of our lives where things are changing. And if you're familiar with the planet Pluto, which is about transformations, deaths, and rebirths, we are experiencing, for the very last time in our lifetime, a Pluto Capricorn energy. Pluto stays in the zodiac sign for 248 years. I'm sorry, it takes Pluto 248 years to travel to a zodiac sign. This will be the last time we experience a Pluto Capricorn. Capricorn is about our soul's work that we came here to do. So as Pluto transits out of Capricorn on November 19th, we will be moving into Pluto in Aquarius, the age of Aquarius. This is a time to collaborate. This is a time to network. This is a time to find a tribe that supports you on the very journey you are on. This is a time to find people that's going to lift you up and help you see your light so you can shine your light to be the brightest star in the sky. And if we all do that, everyone will be able to see where they're supposed to go, and no one will have to live in their darkness.
Amazing. Time of collaboration is coming. That's
So,
wonderful.
so true. So
All
true.
right. Wonderful. All right. Thank you for doing this. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.